Narcissists are very good at gaslighting, and it's the challenge of my job is I often report on narcissists and people that are very good at gaslighting and controlling narratives. And one of the biggest challenges is when you report the opposite of what is the public perception or the public narrative, you become a target, right? Because you're not promoting the agenda, right? You're not pushing the same narrative. And when a narcissist pushes the propaganda and pushes it out and pushes out that image, people become saturated by that image. And so they believe that if all of these places are doing things, if like all of these outlets are reporting this, it must be true. If a documentary was made about this, it can't be false. And I'll tell you something. I was recently watching a interview that the law of familiarity, correct? That was one of my biggest challenges when I reported on the Duggars. You know, for the longest time, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was the first person to report that the raid that happened to Josh Duggars had to do with CP. And I got so much shit for it. But I had someone that was in Springdale, Arkansas, contact me and they say, yeah, the HSI was here and it was for CP. And I reported that in 2019, in November of 2019. Everyone gave me shit. They were like, how dare you accuse him of something like that? I can't believe you would put that out there, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm just telling you what the locals told me. And I got shit for it. And then in April of 2021, he was arrested for the same thing that I reported on in November of 2019. So I also got a lot of shit for some of the stuff I reported about Todd Chrisley, who sued me, and he's in prison now. And Todd sued me for everything that came out in trial. Really. Everything that came out in trial. He tried to sue me for, just to silence me. I'm used to the feedback, but Gypsy is unique, right? Because she has got an entire network that is pushing this narrative for her. And she has someone named Melissa Moore, who is her producer. Okay. And I was watching an interview with Melissa Moore. And, you know what I realized about Melissa? She's on the wrong take of every case. She has bad takes. And the only people that are going to make the kind of documentary that she made, like Prison Confessions, are people that have bad takes. A true documentarian would never make a documentary about a schmurderer without presenting the opposing side. There's no opposing side in Prison Confessions. They bring on experts to reinforce the D is broken. They bring on experts that just reinforce that this happened. And there was no opposing side. There was no doctor brought in. You know what? I'll tell you one thing, and you guys can sit on this, but most of Gypsy's surgeries happened in Louisiana. She didn't have that many surgeries. Actually, she got her ear tubes and some teeth extracted in Louisiana. She didn't have that much medical treatment there. And not a single Louisiana doctor was interviewed. Not one. Why do you think that is? Have you thought about the fact that there are doctors that have jobs that work for major university clinics? Gypsy got her feeding tube at Tulane. Is that the hospital? Tulane is a school in Louisiana, right? Is it Tulane? Is that right? Okay. So she went to Tulane Children's. I'm pretty sure that's a huge, also a hospital. Okay. That's Tulane. Yeah. Tulane. That's what I said. Tulane. I said Tulane. Are you not hearing me? I said Tulane. She went to Tulane and that's where she got her feeding tube. Are you okay? So if I misspoke, Melissa, I am so sorry. Did I piss on your Wheaties tonight? Anyways, my God. Tulane, she went to Tulane and she got her feeding tube, okay? And she was impatient for 2 months. So are you going to tell me, why didn't you go get the gastro doctor in Tulane? Tulane, why didn't you go get me there? Huh? Why don't you get me that gastro doctor? Where's the genetics doctor that originally diagnosed the chromosomal disorder? From Louisiana. Where's the speech pathologist that diagnosed the swallow situation? You do realize the reason why they can't get those doctors on is because they did nothing fucking wrong. They did nothing wrong. And you know what a doctor is going to do? They're never going to go on and puff out with their whole chest and fight back against falsehoods that are ridiculous, because they know if it was legitimate, she would have fucking sued them. And she didn't. She didn't sue them. Getting a feeding tube and gastro, the fond duplication that she had, that's, you don't just get that. I'm sorry. No doctor, no. No. People misspeak about this, the Health Information Privacy Act, all the time. The doctors that spoke also are bound by that same, they're also bound by it. Dr. Steele was in the documentaries. He barely fucking knew her. And he was on there, so was the neurologist. The neurologist was on there. Okay, so they only brought on doctors that were in Missouri. They didn't bring any doctors from Louisiana. So they have zero proof for their claims of Munchausen's by proxy. They can only say that Gypsy could walk. That's it. And none of them did actually really anything wrong. The Louisiana doctors didn't give her a feeding tube. They didn't take out her salivary glands. They didn't do the hypoventilation and the CPAP. None of them. I mean, well, she had her sleep apnea doctor that was in Louisiana that moved to Missouri. So she had the same sleep apnea doctor. But none of the Louisiana doctors are in this because they did nothing wrong. It was all medically necessary. And all of these doctors have been defamed. I can tell you with certainty that a gastro doctor, a gastroenterologist is the doctor that will do the feeding tube and the funduplication in the Nissen, which is for GERD. It's where they take a part of your stomach and they wrap it around your esophagus so it like closes the whole of your esophagus, so it basically stops you from refluxing, because she was vomiting all the time. And she told the feeding people she was vomiting all the time. And vomiting is a part of her, severe reflux and vomiting is a part of her microdeletion. And almost a lot of the children that have it need feeding tubes. And she needed it because she had severe GERD, and she wouldn't eat and she couldn't swallow. She was choking on just anything. She was choking on her own spit. Do you watch her lives today? She still chokes on water. It must be something. KJ is vomiting BS. Okay, why did... my eye has it's not swollen. It's just the angle, but I have a scar right here. And there's a light shining on it right now. So there's something wrong with it. Why does... Okay. Faith says I was arguing with her. Oh, there's Faith.
Hello.
Way to solve a problem is by violence.
We're solving the world's problems.
I seen that. That Sarah girl's getting on my nerves so bad. I couldn't just stay in the comments. I couldn't fight her that much in there.
That's okay. So when I was reading how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good.
I saw you up there with Starlight. You're doing great.
Yeah. I actually really like Starlight when she just gets into the case. She's so knowledgeable. And she really takes the time to know the case, and like she's read all the documents, she's gotten transcripts of the case, like she reads everything.
Yeah, she's done a lot of work on it on her YouTube.
Yep. So she didn't have any forced procedures done. You can't actually force procedures. So I'll tell you a secret. being in the medical, I mean, my son has a medical condition. He has a feeding tube. And I've seen mothers that have Munchausen's, or it's not even, this is what bothers me about this case, is it's not even fucking called Munchausen's anymore. It's called fictitious order imposed on another. That's what it's called. Or medical child abusive. It is not called Munchausen's. I wish they would use the right term. But mothers that have that don't act like Dee Dee at all. There was a woman here in Minnesota that was arrested, and she had a child with a feeding tube, and she was putting something like salt in his feeding tube or something, or salt packets. She was putting salt packets in his feeding tubes to manipulate his something, to cause something. And then there was Lacey Spears. She was in one of our feeding tube pages when my son was really young. And she put salt in her son, and her son passed away. There was a woman in Texas. She went to prison. Her son, she starved, and he was like 14 years old, and he weighed like 60 pounds. And he wasn't sick. She just starved him and made him weak and said that he had all of these things. Generally speaking, when a mother has this, the child is actually harmed. They are harmed intentionally to cause the reactions and to manipulate the symptoms to doctors.
She didn't support her when she found out. When the medical stuff came out, she was transparent. This has been discussed multiple times.
Yeah. Lacey put the salt in the IV at the hospital. And then a mom in Minnesota did that too. I don't know if it was salt, but so there's been other moms that have put feces in the lines of their children. I know there's currently a case that's going on in Australia, but I won't be talking about it. I know that they were big on TikTok, but Australia has laws about slander, defamation, and the press in Australia hasn't named these people, even though it's the Harrises. They haven't named the child. The police haven't named her. And the police basically said that, like, you can be held criminally responsible if you spread misinformation about this. And I didn't even know that was a thing in Australia. So I was like, I'm staying away from it. I didn't always have the medical records. So the medical records were never lost in Katrina. That's just a fucking lie. They were not lost. They exist. They always had the medical records. She just didn't give them the medical records, or it was just very chaotic after Katrina. You know, everything was shut down. They have all the medical records, and what really floors me is that they pick out small sentences out of these, like they find a needle in the haystack, and they use this one statement by this one doctor to frame their entire narrative. And then they totally ignore all the valid things that did happen. Like they've never given the true story about the feeding tube. They've always just said it was given to her for no reason. They have never actually said, this is why she got the feeding tube. They've never disclosed those details. Why? Because if you knew the reason why she got the feeding tube, you would know it wasn't forced on her by her mother. you would see that there's notes from feeding therapists, from speech therapists, from gastroenterologists, from swallow studies to Botox to trying everything to help her grow because she fell off the growth chart. And help her survive. And they never tell you that. And they don't tell you that she has a microdeletion. They don't tell you what the common symptoms of the microdeletion are. They don't tell you that the microdeletion that she has is it's one of the largest deletions you could possibly have. She's missing over 25 genes. It's a lot. My opinion about Gypsy is that she has lied about her mom the same way she lies about Ryan, the same way that she lies about Nick, the same way that she lies about every single person in her life, because she's a liar. And Gypsy doesn't like to be told no. She hates when people try to tell her no. She hates being controlled. And as much as she says her mom held her captive, she was not a captive at all. Is Christy easily manipulated? No, Christy's a narcissist. Christy has motive to push this story. Christy's as much of a pathological liar and narcissist as Gypsy. Christy only cares about her image, and she pushes the Dee Dee is evil story, in my opinion, because she wants to cover up for the fact that she and Rod fucked up and were dead, and that Rod was a deadbeat dad. They want to cover up that Rod was held into contempt 3 times for criminal non-support. He was actually charged. I mean, you got to be really fucked up in child support to get to criminal non-support. They don't get along. Christy and Gypsy don't get along. But yes, Gypsy and Ken are still together. And none of this is relevant. The prosecutors in this case never said that Gypsy was a victim of what her defense claims she was. The prosecutors have never said that, ever. But the prosecutors were also fed a lie by Gypsy. And Gypsy was never tied up. So I posted about this on my Instagram last night. Gypsy made a lie that she said that 2 weeks after, she tried to run away, and she said that her mom tied her to the bed. And the first time she told it, she said that her mom used handcuffs and a dog leash. And then she tied the dog leash to the bed. But if you see Dee Dee's bed, that wouldn't have been possible. Okay? And then in another interview, she said her mom put handcuffs on her and tied her to a dog leash, and then her mom held the dog leash. Which, then what were her hands connected to? And if you look at Dee Dee's bed, this makes zero sense. She couldn't have been like this because there was no posts for her to be tied to. There was no way for her to be tied down. So how does it go from the dog leash being connected to the bed to then her mom holding to the bed? And then on The View, she turned the story into, and I had to pee on myself if I wanted to go to the bathroom. Her story changes because she lies.
Hello.
Hello.
I love your lives. I've missed you so much.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting a lot of stuff done. We're going to start decorating here soon for Christmas, so I'm excited.
Good. So I was a content creator that was covering cases related to child medical ABUSE, and Christy reached out to me. I met her in 2019.
Why did she reach out to you specifically?
She watched my Duggar content.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah.
But-
Oh, I think you said that before, too.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know. She's so yeah. It's been a very interesting day or so because I've been just going through the case again and like rereading documents. And Aurora, that name actually comes from when Gypsy and her mom first moved to Missouri. They lived in Aurora, Missouri for a while. That's where that name comes from.
It's weird that she's actually using that. After it got quote unquote leaked, she wouldn't just go, oh no, we're changing the name. No, she actually stuck with it.
Yeah. You know, I thought I reached out to her too, but I was reminded by Fancy. Do you know Fancy Maselli?
Me? Just a little bit. Just a little. It's hard to keep track of everybody. A little bit, yes.
And I was talking to her, and I was in a conversation with her, and I was like, I thought I reached out to her. And because that whole timeline is so foggy. And she's like, no, Christy reached out to you. And
Yeah,
I
that's
said,
what you said before.
oh, because it had to do with her. And Fancy remembers the bullshit they put her through, so she would remember better than I did.
It's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it's such a lot. It's a ton to go through. I don't know who some of these people are that want to join. And I think they might have done this by accident. Oh, there's someone from the Bayou in here. They should come up. I want to know what the Bayou says about her.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
You hit mine, you hit yours by accident. I don't see you on here. Samantha, no, there's not one from you. It's Aundie, Aundie, Bree, BQ, Talia, and Maui. And I see you, Camille. Just give me a second. Maui, Talia, Bree, BQ, and Aundie. I can't show you texts on TikTok.
Oh, did that get banned?
Oh, I guess I could. I could do green screen, but what text was I supposed to show? I'm confused.
Yeah, me too. I was just confused, like, oh, are we not allowed to show texts anymore? Because, whoops. You live 2 hours away from Gypsy Rose?
This says, and her people are from Kenner and Raceland area. So I had an interesting conversation with Fancy today. So the Blanchards spent probably 5 years pitting me and Fancy against each other, triangulating us. And that's been hard to repair. I'm trying very hard to be sensitive to the fact that I was like part of the problem in helping them, hurt her or whatever. And we were having a conversation about the chromosomal deletion. And she was talking about that she was going through records, and Dee Dee had told a geneticist that she believed the genetic mutation came from the Acadian side of the family, which was Rod's family, his heritage.
But is it though? Because he hasn't done genetic testing. I mean, I don't know all about that. I'm just thinking, like, would the genetic testing say about that too?
Well, Rod never got tested, and Dee Dee didn't have it.
Oh.
So I was unfamiliar with this literally until today. I didn't know anything about this. People kept talking about inbreeding being a factor here, and I didn't understand the Acadian history. But because they were an isolated people that came from Nova Scotia, where they lived in an isolated community and then moved to the bayou, they inbred for generations and generations and generations. And
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. We have a lot of that where I live. You can tell.
Where do you live?
Washington. I won't say the county or whatever, but there's a lot of the religious sectors around here, and you can just kind of tell.
So the Acadians were like a certain ethnic French people that were in Canada that got pushed out during a war. So they were like, basically like refugees. And then they came down to Louisiana because it was a province of Spain, I guess. French Catholic, okay, like a colony of Spain. And so they settled in the bayou and settled the swamplands, and which was very different. If you've been to Nova Scotia to the bayou, it couldn't be any more different. And in Nova Scotia, they lived in a very isolated area, and then in the bayou, they were very isolated from everyone. And so there wasn't a very wide gene pool. And so, and they stayed within their ethnic community. And so there was a lot of cousins marrying cousins and, that kind of thing. And they have a higher prevalence of recessive autosomal recessive syndromes, which are like when two people carry a recessive gene.
Mm-hmm.
And then other genetic conditions like chromosome deletions, chromosomal additions, all that kind of stuff. So apparently there's a lot of genetic conditions that happen in this. LSU has done studies on it because it's unique, and they have syndromes literally unique to their specific group. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess it could be that. I don't know. It's all strange. It's all like this. There's so much information, and it's so much is going around, and different creators and different news facts.
That's what Dee Dee told the genetics doctor.
Oh,
That's in a medical record that it's passed from the paternal Acadian line.
Oh, how interesting. Oh, no, I don't like that.
What do you mean you don't like that?
No, like, maybe I'm not understanding. So it's a possibility that they could be distant cousins?
No, the
No.
Acadian people, it has to do with the Acadian people. So,
Oh, okay.
okay, it would be equivalent to, say, a pocket of ethnic Germans all came to one area and it was very isolated and they all started breeding together because there wasn't other people to breed with. And so family members were having sex with family members. It's a founder problem. It has to do with how the community started.
Okay, now I get it. I get it. I'm sorry. I'm very slow.
It's from the, it's from the environment. It has nothing to do with, where's the kitty? Oh, do you see him?
Orange cat. I love him.
I don't know who these people are. Petra someone, Talia. I think that was an accident. There's Bayou Belle again. I want to hear what you should come up here. She might know about this. I invited her up. Come up here.
I'll mute myself.
I invited her. No.
Specialize in cheap flights.
Hey.
Cheap car rental rates.
Hi,
So you're from the Bayou.
I'm from Lafayette, which is, the boutique she went to the other day. I'm from that area, the Rain area.
Lafayette is
Central Louisiana.
Central? Really?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It's really central?
Yeah, we're still in the south part of Louisiana, but we're over by that boutique that she was seen at a couple weeks ago, maybe.
Isn't Lafayette next to Terrebonne or Terra, whatever parish? What parish is it in?
No, Terrebonne Parish is about an hour away from me.
Okay, sorry. It all
Yeah,
looks
no
like it's all
problem.
clumped together on the map, and I was looking at the map of the parishes.
Yeah, a lot of people think, but I mean, I'm still down here. She spends a lot of time in Lafayette. That's what I don't understand. Because Lake Charles, where she lived with Ryan, is 45 minutes away from me. So why is she coming so close to Lake Charles?
What boutique was she at?
Well, maybe it wasn't a boutique. I think it was like an ice cream shop.
Oh,
Let me look up the...
Oh, when she comes back, some people are asking if she could turn off maybe the TV because it's kind of cutting in and out.
Mariella is back, bitches. Makes me scared. So
She went. And those people, was like, oh, hey, Gypsy, or we're with Gypsy Rose Blanchard, or whatever they said. It was like 3 weeks ago, maybe.
that's weird because she doesn't have family there.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. So Lake Charles, where Ryan and her used to live, okay, I'm in between where they used to live. I'm 2 hours from Jip. I'm about 45 minutes from Ryan. And Rain is right there in the middle. So was she at court? Did she have to go see her PO officer? Like, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Her PO is in Lafourche,
LaFouche? Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that's 2 hours from me. But where her and Ryan used to live and where he still lives is about 45 minutes away from me.
That's weird.
So I'm like, what are you doing down here in Rain, Louisiana. Like, my son works down there. Like, what are you doing down there?
like her whole okay, so the one thing I've noticed about these families is they're like, and I don't know if this is how the bayou is, but it's like they all just stay in the parish they're from.
We really do. We don't too much go out of the parish. Like, I'm originally from the Baton Rouge area. That's where I grew up, whatever. But then I moved to Lafayette once I started having kids and I became married.
It's yeah, that's what it feels like. Is it's tribal. It feels like.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. It feels like Gypsy's family is part of like a mafia of like a collective of families that are all criminals, honestly.
And I understand how you feel saying that.
And that's not a reflection of the whole bayou. I'm talking about their specific pod. Like
right.
Of families that interact, because Christy's family is fucking crazy.
They are.
Like, there's a lot of rug use and petty theft and burglaries. Rod's dad has like arrests for burglary, breaking and entering, criminal trespassing, criminal damage, 3 DUIs.
Yeah, it's really the place she's from is very small. It's more like a one road in, one road out type of town.
And
so it's like 2 miles long, maybe.
One of her cousins that she saw when she got out, she's in jail right now for something, possession or I don't even know. Like, yeah. I was looking at the roster list and I was like, hey, that's her cousin. She's literally in jail right now. One of her uncles has a rap sheet for DV on her mom's side. Several of her mom's siblings have been arrested.
You don't too much hear much about her mom's family. You hear more about Rod and his family down here.
What do you hear about Rod and his family?
Like how Rod's been on drugs off and on for the last 30 years of his life.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You know, you've seen on TV, you've seen everywhere else that Rod's cousin, what's his name? He's a Petrie. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Bobby, but that's
Bobby.
That's Gypsy's, on Dee Dee's side.
Okay. Well, yeah, he's down there. He's a big tattoo artist. He's only famous because of her, honestly. But I'm over here. Okay, so y'all know where she had her baby shower.
Oh, the Acadian, that park. Yeah.
The village. Yeah. The Acadian village. Yeah, I'm about probably 30 minutes away from that village.
Okay.
Just to give y'all,
why would she let you know her property?
I don't know why they would let her there, because that is a historic site. And not many people have events there.
So I had heard that Rod was. What bothers me about Rod's story is he has been able to smear his ex-wife, who's a victim, while not taking responsibility for the fact that he was in contempt of court 3 times for criminal non-support.
Right, and he's not going to take accountability. That's the thing. People down here don't. I mean, you have people all over this state that owe hundreds, thousands of dollars in back child support. They don't pay.
He was paying.
They just go a slap on the wrist.
He was lying. He was paying the support because he owed it still.
Yeah, I don't really think he was paying it at the time he should have. I think he was paying it once he got caught not paying it.
Yeah, he started paying, I think, in like 2000 or 2006. Like,
yeah, and what was she born? 93 or 92?
91.
91. Same year my sister was born. Okay.
So I think he finally got slapped with the criminal charges in 2000, and it's like he was $5,000 plus behind in medical. He owed like $3,000 in child support. They ordered permanent alimony because he committed adultery while she was pregnant.
This state, I'm telling y'all, like it's insane. Like they got people who owe 30 years worth of child support who have never paid.
Rod Blanchard, that's what we're talking about. And I also think it's weird that he was arrested in Terrebonne.
Yeah.
For felony battery. Louisiana state laws are trash, Vivi says. Men get away with child support in Louisiana. If there's other Louisiana people, you can hit the join.
There's probably plenty of people from Louisiana in here.
Brandy says, I live in Louisiana and my ex owes me 18 years back pay.
Yeah. I believe it.
So Gypsy is Cajun.
No, Gypsy's not Cajun. Her family's Cajun. She's not. She grew up in Missouri.
I guess like her ancestry is Cajun.
Yeah. I'm not like trying to sound mean or nothing. I'm just saying her family, yes, her family's Cajun. She's not, because she grew up in Slidell. That is more East Louisiana towards Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi. She didn't live there very long, and that's what gets me is her little fake Cajun accent she has.
So she's not Native American. Her dad is Acadian. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. I think her mom is too. Dee Dee.
Her mom, yes.
Her mom looks Cajun. Her mom.
Yeah, they both are Cajun technically, but Gypsy's not because she didn't grow up down here.
Well,
she grew up, or she was living in Slidell when Katrina happened.
I mean, yes, if we're gonna go off culture wise, but her DNA is Cajun, right? Or is it Acadian? Like what? How do you call it? Like her.
I would say Acadian because she did not grow up down here. Now, if she grew up down here, she would be considered Cajun.
Well, she lived there until she was like, she lived in Lafourche until 2000.
Right.
She was there for.
It's so complicated, y'all. Yeah. I'm sorry. It's just so complicated because, you know, when she left when Katrina happened, she was in Slidell.
Right.
And Slidell is not a Cajun area.
No,
it's a more Mississippian area.
That's near That's near New Orleans, isn't it?
No, not really. Maybe about 3 hours from New Orleans.
Why does everything in southern Louisiana look like it's close together?
I have no idea. Like, it literally takes us 20 minutes to get to work. We live 40 minutes from family. Like, it's crazy around here.
When I look at the map, it looks like everything is close.
Mm-mm.
No, Slidell
It's
is
not.
close. No, Slidell is in Orleans County. I know this because that's where she got picked up for something. Slidell is called Slidell is just across the lake from New Orleans. That's what I thought. Oh, St. Tammany. Okay, sorry. St. Tammany. You guys, I have been looking in all of those parishes. There's a million. There's St. Tammany's, there's Orleans, there's St. John's the Baptist, there's Jefferson, there's Lafourche, Terrebonne, St. Bernard. I'm learning all the counties or parishes. We call them counties here. It's weird, but I'm pretty sure Louisiana is the only state that calls counties parishes. Vivi says she lives 30 minutes from Lake Charles. Huh. Does it ever drive you crazy? That's probably Bree trying to get in here.
Hold on, what happened? What'd you say?
Slidell is by New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's about an hour and a half, maybe an hour, 45 minutes from New Orleans.
No, it's not. It's right across. Oh. Why does she keep going away?
I don't know. I think maybe she's looking up the distance or the facts, and so that way it cancels her out.
I don't know. Is she Googling? Oh.
It's possible.
I don't know. Like, everyone has said that it's not far from New Orleans.
I'm going to agree with anybody because I have no idea. And if I don't live down there, then I have no idea the distance.
Jesus Christ. If you were down here, you would understand what I'm telling you. It's about an hour, maybe an hour and 45 minutes away from Slidell, Metairie, Kenner, New Orleans.
Be nice. Be nice.
I'm not being, what are you talking, I'm sorry. What is an hour and 45 minutes away?
New Orleans from Slidell. Because Slidell is on the north shore of New Orleans, is what I'm saying. It takes a while to get us places, like from New Orleans to Kenner is 30 minutes. New Orleans to Metairie is 20 minutes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Someone
But I'm outside
MapQuest says 33 miles.
Everyone else is disagreeing here.
Well, okay, so
my grandmother grew up in Bush, Louisiana.
okay.
So anybody on the panel or in the chat who knows where Bush, Louisiana is, that's right by Slidell.
This person said Slidell to NOLA is 31 miles.
I don't live on that side, though. I don't drive that side. I've drove Baton Rouge to New Orleans, Lafayette to New Orleans.
Okay.
And that's what I was trying to tell you at the beginning. I'm from Baton Rouge, but yeah. I live in Lafayette.
Okay. Well, all I know is that she wasn't very far from Slidell to Lafourche is 45 minutes.
Okay. My thing was our documents, anybody who went to New Orleans to have records done, work done, surgeries, procedures, whatever. No, y'all's stuff did not get lost in Katrina like Dee Dee said.
Right.
Because I can still pull up stuff from when my grandpa went to Charity Hospital in New Orleans.
Is Tulane in that area?
Yes, Tulane University Hospital.
Okay, that's where Gypsy got a lot of her stuff done.
Okay, so that's around the New Orleans area.
Okay.
Now, after Katrina, people need to understand. People died. That city flooded. We even flooded up the Baton Rouge area where I'm from. Now, the documents was not lost like Dee Dee claimed. I'm not pro-gypsy. No, by no means.
Nobody's denying that. We know that. I'm pretty sure that they had done some sort of conversion and there was a new system, I was told. That was like a statewide system or something.
Exactly, because that was 2005. By
Yeah.
then, we had what? Tons of computers
Yeah. They
and
were
computer
electronic. They were
systems.
electronic
So,
at that point. Yeah.
but
So,
my thing is like Dee Dee, I mean, yeah, Dee Dee did what she did, but Gypsy knew at the same time what her mom was doing.
well, my belief is that I don't think they even came right away after Katrina.
No, they didn't.
Because Katrina was in 2005, right?
Right.
I thought they didn't get to Missouri until 2007.
Probably so. I haven't like fully like read her full mom story, but from what I've heard and from what I have read, like it was all, oh, my mom didn't know that whatever because all my files were lost in Katrina. No, your files were not lost in Katrina. Your mom played like they were.
Oh, right, right.
But after a certain time, come on, like my 15-year-old, I have a 15-year-old. She would know if I was playing her. Oh, Maddie, go sit in that wheelchair.
In fairness, I think they were having some trouble getting the records, but they weren't locked
Yes.
up.
Yes, I can understand that. Yes.
They were having problems getting the records because everything was so backed up and like,
Correct.
yeah.
I agree with you on that.
They did finally get the records. But she was in clinic in Tulane for months doing feeding therapy and stuff.
So that should have transferred right over to her next hospital. That shouldn't have been lost. That's my thing.
I just don't think she was being seen for it by then. And I think the reason why Dee Dee was saying all of this is she didn't want those medical records sent because she didn't want them to see her age. All Dee Dee, all Dee Dee was
I
doing,
agree.
yeah, all Dee Dee at that point was trying to do was grift off the kid getting free shit.
Right, and let me just let y'all know, everybody who's on panel, who is out in the comments, there are people who are still down here in Louisiana trying to get free stuff because of Hurricane Katrina. Housing, clothes, food, everything. And this has been, what, almost 20 years?
There's been like 7 million hurricanes since then, though.
I understand, but you would have to see. Everyone got, okay, so I'll just explain it like this. So I was 2 hours north of New Orleans when the hurricane happened. We had trees that fell. My home was damaged. FEMA came out. We got MREs. We got all kind of stuff. Okay. Now you had people that was closer down to that area that lost their homes completely, lost family members, lost everybody, and they are still trying to get stuff. They got free housing in Houston. They got free housing in places in Mississippi and all this, and they're still trying to use Katrina as a scapegoat. And like I told you, it's
People still live in FEMA trailers here, Brandy said. Are any of you, you're not coming up. Yankee Cajun, are you from the Cajun? No, if you're a Yankee, can you be a Cajun? Yankee Cajun says they're a Cajun.
Did the other girl leave?
I think so. I don't know. know. They're not connecting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe her phone died.
I don't know.
Please get off of it because I am from Louisiana and still live. Louisiana. She is a freak. Who? I'm a Cajun and proud of it. Please get her off. Oh. I'm a Cajun. Look at, well then, all these Cajuns, why don't you come up here? I didn't realize there were so many Cajuns in the comments. No one from Katrina is still trying to get things. I don't know who is, I don't see any of these people that said they were Cajuns in my trying to get in here. Who is a Cajun? Her phone died, she said. Ooh. You need to come up here. Creative. Come up here. I want the 411. The
That'd be
Foos.
fun.
Come up, LaFouche. Come up, LaFouche. I've been in Louisiana for 48 years, born and raised here. My mother did witchcraft with some of it. Yeah, Creative, we need you up here. She's from LaFouche.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Come on up.
Oh, she's not coming. There's a lot of Cajuns in here, you guys. Okay, so am I sailing? Not tonight, she says. Okay.
Maybe next time. I see a lot of people saying that they live close by Gypsy and they have friends. Like, I'm seeing a lot of those comments.
So, all those of you that are Cajun in here, is the Bayou talk really that Gypsy's a turkey butt? Or is the Bayou talk that she's the greatest thing since sliced bread? Because I talk to people from the Bayou and they say she's a fucking joke. We were friends at one time and I am from Cutoff. You were friends with who? The Blanchards?
She said above she was friends with Dee Dee.
Oh, interesting. She's a joke around here.
Creative Edge, why don't you come up in the panel?
T. Sullivan says she's a joke around here. Was in Houston High School. I remember Katrina victims joining my school. We didn't have room then. Thank you, Vivi. I'm trying to find... There's all these Cajuns I can see. Ragin' Cajun. Regina Cajun. I met Gypsy with Ryan. Come on up.
I want to see that selfie.
I know.
I see some young
I know.
girls getting
All the
selfies.
Cajuns are having stage fright. I'm bringing up. It's Cajun night, y'all. It's Cajun night. Come on up.
Why do none of these Cajuns want to join?
I'm on vacation with my family. I can't get on. Maybe another time. Okay.
Then why are you in a live?
They was at Walmart. Who's the person that said It's a big joke. Maria says it's all scripted. There's all. Your internet was acting fucked up. Maybe their family is sleeping. Come on, Cajuns. Oh, here comes a Cajun.
Hi.
Western Gypsy met Ryan.
Hey, Sha. Y'all can call me Jody.
Hi, Jody. Where are you from?
I'm from Eunice, but right now I'm living over here in Lake Charles.
That's a Cajun accent.
Born and raised here.
I hear it. Okay. So you then must have met them in St. Charles.
No, I'm at Lake Charles.
Oh, at Lake Charles. I'm sorry, not St. Charles. Okay,
Yeah.
You saw them at a Walmart.
Yeah.
Did you know who Ryan was before all of this?
Oh yeah. Everybody down here knows who he is. I mean, he eats out every day, like 3-4 times a day everywhere. So I mean, everybody knows who he is.
He eats out, you said?
Yeah.
So that's what he's known for, is eating out?
Oh yeah. No, I mean he goes to all the restaurants and stuff around here. So I mean everybody knew who he was before. I mean Gypsy even come down here.
Does he have a good reputation or bad reputation?
Y'all want to know the truth? He's two different people. The way he acts on the live and the way he is in person is two different people. He's shy. He's shy. He don't say nothing. I mean the stuff that he does. He don't do that out in public.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I mean, there's been some lives where he's done that kind of behavior in public, and I've seen it for myself.
Yeah, he just started doing all that ever since Gypsy started coming around. Attention. He's seeking attention is all he's doing right now.
So do you think he had good intentions or bad intentions?
He's chasing that clout for some money. School teachers don't make nothing.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
So are you
yeah.
on Gypsy's side or Ryan's side?
I'm on neither side. I can't stand either one of them.
Same.
Same.
But he's just, yeah, I mean, he's a 30-something-year-old guy, teaches special ed at a charter school.
Yeah, he's not even a licensed teacher. He's just like, and he's, what I think is weird is he's doing special ed, but he doesn't have education in special ed.
He makes, down here in Louisiana, teachers don't make nothing. I mean, he makes maybe $2,000 a month. That's it. So he gets online and he can do whatever he wants to, get them little coins thrown at him, and he can make them a few extra dollars.
Oh my God. That is so small.
I mean, it's like our teacher that's been teaching for 30 years. My aunt just retired. She taught for 30 years, and her top pay was only $2,700.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's true. My teacher told me I was worth $3 to her because that's how much she got in supplies for each student. They do not make much.
No, he's not licensed. He's not a licensed teacher. He was very briefly licensed for social studies, but he does not have, he works at a charter school, and so they don't require that he has any education whatsoever in special ed. And that's what concerns me, is like, special education is very specific, and like our teacher for my son, that's like has a master's degree in it, and he doesn't even have a certification in it.
So I mean, you take his little 2,000. So y'all take that little $2,000. He's got rent from his apartment. Insurance on his car. His eating out 3 times a day, 7 days a week. He buys LSU tickets. Gas. I mean, he's down to nothing at the end of the month. He gets on live and
His bachelor's degree, I think, is in history. His bachelor's is not in education, and he had a temporary teaching license for 1 year in social studies, and he's not licensed anymore.
But I'm just down here in Lake Charles, whenever Gypsy lived here, her little, 3 months, maybe, is that all what it was? I mean, they went to Walmart probably like 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, they ate out a lot too because neither one of them knew how to cook, you know. I mean, people around here talk, Lake Charles is kind of big, but people around here, they talk, and every time, you know, somebody would ask for a picture, she'd tell them no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She was rude to all the waitresses. Didn't really even tip nobody. She didn't take pictures. I mean, she was just rude.
Restaurant did this
I
happen?
mean, people shouldn't want to have pictures with a schmurderer.
What restaurant was that in that you saw?
Oh, I saw him up at Walmart on Nelson and Lake Charles.
Oh no, I meant to what you said before, where denying or like low tips. Like, what location was that at?
Lake Charles. I mean, like at Daryl's, at Pizza Hut, at Cracker Barrel and Sulphur. I mean, they've been all over, and
That's funny. She told me she never went out with him, ever.
all the time. All the time. And they'd be holding hands like they were some little lovebirds.
And we love Daryl, says T. Sullivan.
Oh, it's the best.
I don't know what Daryl's is.
The best po' boys there, the Daryl special.
The Daryl special. Okay, and then Ken came. But Ken was never in Lake Charles, I don't think. They went out a few times on that dumb show they made. Yeah, they did. But she told me the only times he ever took her out was to film. She said they never went out otherwise, so that's a lie.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's pictures. I mean, like my Facebook friends, you know, they're all from around here, and everybody was going excited to meet her and take a picture with her. I mean, there's a lot of people that did take pictures with her or snuck pictures, you know, while she wasn't looking, and they were always together.
What is a Daryl special?
Oh dear, I don't want to know.
Just a po' boy sentence on it. I don't care for it. I mean,
A what?
a po' boy.
What's a poi boy? What's in it?
You can get different kinds. You can get a shrimp po' boy, a meatball, kind of like a sub. But
Oh,
they're
a
hot.
sub.
But we call them po' boys.
Oh, you call them po' boys. It's like a sub sandwich. Oh, okay. But you guys eat things we don't eat up here. Like, I was friends with Christy, and so she'd always be cooking or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, I'm making a roux and jambalaya and like, I don't even know, something else." There's another one. Jambalaya and gumbo.
Gumbo, jambalaya, red beans and rice, crawfish etouffee.
Everything looked like it was so heavy. I'm like, I would be so fat if I lived down there.
So that's why we all fat around here, because we like to eat the rice and gravy every day.
Crawfish pie. Oh, that sounds so gross.
Like old Forrest Gump, we like shrimp po' boys, we like fried shrimp, we like boiled shrimp.
Oh my God, you sound like Bubba Gump. And everyone goes shrimping.
Yep.
Look at there's so many Cajuns in my comments. Oh my God, I had no idea.
It's just like crawfish. We like crawfish etouffee. We like crawfish pies. We like crawfish pistolettas. We like boiled crawfish, fried crawfish. Crawfish po' boys.
The most Cajun I've done in my while is Brazoo's. I don't know what those are. What is Bowden?
Boudin.
What's Boudin?
Boudin.
Boudin. What is that?
It's a rice mixture in a pig casing, and intestines. They use that as a casing, and you stuff it.
Okay.
It's delicious.
You guys eat stuff that nobody else eats in the world.
It's like a rice dressing. I'm not sure where you're from, Katie. I mean, I've watched you and followed you for a while, but I've just been quiet. I'm not sure where you're from.
I'm from Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if y'all know what a rice dressing is.
Dressing, like salad
No.
dressing?
No, rice dressing. It's like a rice mixture. You got rice, got a little meat, you got some onions, some green peppers,
Okay.
and you take intestines of a stomach of a pig, and you stuff it into like little 6-inch lengths,
Oh no.
and then you eat it. That is some of the best stuff around is boudin. Yeah, some people use
sausage casing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people can use like a regular sausage casing, but the real Cajuns, I mean, it's a pig case and pig stomach.
Oh my gosh. You guys eat so uniquely. Like, I've never seen food like this anywhere else. Is it all the Acadian heritage?
Yeah, I mean, it's like cracklins. Y'all, you know what a cracklin is?
A what?
A cracklin.
What's a cracklin?
You take belly of a pig, you cut it up into little squares, and you deep fry it.
No. Where do you get the belly of a pig? Do you just buy that at the store?
From a
do you
pig?
The
Do you
farmer's market.
Do you go to the farmer's market? Do you have a pig in the backyard?
Pig in the backyard. We go hog hunting around here. We kill hogs.
Oh, you kill hogs? But do they sell like the pig intestines and the muscles and the stuff
Wilbur.
do they sell that at the store?
I sold that for a living.
You can go to a local grocery store here, and you can buy a pulse, which is a pig stomach.
Every store sells pig stomachs in Louisiana. Oh my God. I had no idea. You would never
people
find
love
that
it.
here.
They sell hog's feet, chickens.
Up here?
Pig's feet? You can buy pig's feet here?
Oh,
Pickle.
people love pig's feet. I sold some.
I mean, at our butcher, you can get pig's ears. Like our dogs love to eat pig's ears.
We like turtle. We like alligator. We like squirrel. We like rabbit.
Squirrel.
What does alligator taste like?
What is alligator? Does that taste like chicken?
No, not really. Everything don't taste like chicken here.
Oh. What does squirrel taste like?
Like rabbit.
I don't think I've ever had rabbit. You like chicken and catfish together? Alligator is really good. Gator is so good.
Yes, it's good. You can grill alligator tail. You can do a sauce pecan with alligator. You can fry alligator.
Are alligators, they're not endangered, are they?
No, we hunt them.
Are they everywhere? Do you see them sometimes just in your yard?
Yeah, I mean, like on the bayou, they're everywhere. Yes. Where I live at, I got a pond, and I live on a bayou in Lake Charles. Well, I'm like a little north of Lake Charles, so I mean, I live on a bayou, but we got alligators here.
And do they ever they show up and they're like, hey, can I party?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we got a casino in Lake Charles, and people's got to stop because they be crossing the road trying to get to the casino.
Are they mean?
They can't. Anything with a mouth can be mean.
Oh my God, that would scare the shit out of me.
Well, I'll tell you what, my husband, he's in Venice, Louisiana right now working. We call Venice the end of the world. It's the furthest you can go. And he sent me some pictures. He's a worker. He's a factory worker. He sent me some pictures. Uh, they were having to fight the alligators because they was in the plant while they were trying to work.
I don't know who these people are. I don't know if they're Cajun or not. So the whole Cajun world is a whole thing to me.
Cajun. It's a whole different breed down here in South Louisiana. But see, Louisiana, it's got different sections to it. You got your North Louisiana, then you got your Middle Louisiana, and then you got your South Louisiana. South Louisiana, that's where all your good food is. South of I-10, that's where all your good food is. That's where your Cajuns, your Creole, all your cultural people are. You get into Middle Louisiana, that's where your country and your rednecks are. And then you get to North Louisiana, and that's what everybody calls the Yankees.
Okay, I have watched Swamp People. What was that guy? Willie Dog! There is a guy, Shelby, and he used to harvest trees out of a swamp.
That's Shelby.
Shelby, and he'd always say hilarious things like his sister one time when they were on the boat, she said, "I'm fixing to take a poop." And he said, "You better hold that turd."
Yep.
And he was always like, "Willie Dog!" So is he Cajun or Creole?
He's a little bit of crazy Cajun.
He's a crazy Cajun. Yes, he had a dog. Willie Dog! That's like that's something we do on repeat in this house still. Like, we haven't watched that show in like 10 years. And we're still like, Willie Dog! And the fixing to take a poop, you better hold that turd. That's like the best line we've ever heard. So do people like him just walk around with no shoes? That was the one thing that I thought was crazy about him.
Yeah, the Coonasses do. I mean, Coonasses, yeah, it's a different type of breed. Everything down here in South Louisiana is culture.
Is culture? What's a Coonass?
You don't know that.
Isn't that like Cajun? Or
They wear them shrimp boats, the white Reeboks, huh? Them Hackberry Hillbilly Reebok white shrimp boots, yeah. Coonasses are bayou region, like way from the bayou, like the swamp.
okay. There's so many different terms. It's slang term for are Creoles different? Or is that the same too?
Creole, they're different.
Aren't Creole aren't there African descent isn't there French mix with, is that Creole?
See, they got Cajuns, they got Creoles. They are different than Cajuns. They're, some people's what you call them high yellow. They're not white, they're not black.
Okay, French Haiti. Thank you. That's what it was. French Haiti. Okay, so there was Haitians that came there was people that came from Haiti that were black that settled in Louisiana, and then, okay.
But yeah, it's like a lot of us though. We call them high yellow because they're not white, they're not black. They just look like they got a pretty tan.
Oh, that sounds like so inappropriate. Is that normal?
Yeah.
Huh. They taught voodoo. So, is Dee Dee's family Creole or are they Cajun?
No, I'm not racist. My family's Creole, but we call it they're high yellow. I mean, we're not white, and we're not white. We're not black. We just my family's tanned. They call them high yellow because they got a yellow tint to them.
Okay, the Petries are Cajun. Okay, Ragin Cajun. Interesting.
Yeah, nobody's racist in Louisiana. Everybody loves everybody. It don't matter what color you are. I mean, you want to come over and eat for Thanksgiving? Come on, we're gonna eat. We're gonna party. We're gonna drink a beer. I mean,
If you
nobody's
said
racist.
that about someone here, that would be probably not allowed. That's what I was just asking. I don't know the culture, so I wasn't trying to imply anything.
Yeah, here you probably get a milkshake thrown on you.
Yeah. So everyone parties and has a good time. It's sure.
Oh, sorry.
Creole, I'm Haitian. Creole is French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Okay.
Right, cookouts. I mean, it's just like, if y'all go to Louisiana Mardi Gras, y'all see it. I mean, it's every culture and every color out party, having a good time.
Yeah. Northerners don't like being called ma'am. They think it's disrespectful. No, that's not true. We just don't teach our kids to say ma'am and sir. That's not like a thing here. But I don't think people think it's disrespectful. Like,
I've heard that though. I was made fun of in school for telling because I really respected my English teacher, and I'd say yes sir, or, just whatever, and people would laugh at me, and some people still laugh at me. I'm like, am I disrespecting authority? It's very interesting.
no,
I don't know.
not up here at least. People say ma'am and sir, but we don't teach kids to say like, yes ma'am or no ma'am.
Oh, I'll tell you what, back when I was growing up, if I didn't say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, I got my face slapped.
That's sad.
It's very sad. I'm sorry.
And even up into my 20s and probably into my 30s before my mama passed away, if I go yes or no, it's like, it's yes, ma'am, it's no, ma'am. I got corrected even as a grown adult married with children.
That's
not
disturbing.
okay.
I am so sorry you had to deal with that.
You might not even know that's wrong.
I mean, that's the way that we were brought up. And please, thank you. I mean, it was. They said it was
Slap
respect.
kids across the face here. Can you do that in Louisiana?
Yeah,
Huh?
we did. We got slapped. My mamas used to go to the schoolhouse and bust their ass, and then they'd leave and go home.
That's like could get you arrested for child abuse here. That's sad.
What you doing? Hey, you're all twisted.
Yeah, sorry you had to go through that kind of treatment from your family. You never deserved that.
You just lay down.
That's all we knew. I mean, it just wasn't me. I mean, it's everybody down here. It's yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. If you live on the side of the road, you go pick your little stick, and they're gonna whoop your ass with it.
Well, it's good to change our generational traumas and not treat
hasn't
others.
really. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming up. There's someone I want to bring up here for a second. So I'm going to drop you down, but thank you so much for sharing. Okay. Okay. Hello.
Hey, Katie.
Hi.
Do you go by Katie Joy or do you just go by Katie?
You can call me whatever. I just go by Katie, but Katie Joy is like, I needed to have something, right? Like, I didn't want to use my last name, so I just used my middle name.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed connecting with you and watching your lives. Like,
Thank you.
it's very engaging. But I live in deep East Texas, so I'm right there on the border of Louisiana.
Okay.
And it is very much a culture, a lifestyle out in this area, in this region, that's very dated. It's very dated, backwoodsy, like, it's just, you've got generational practices of generations that's just handed down, that's Southern. And Like there's still people that live like in the backwoods and have, well pumps for their water. Like it's legitimately just backwoods like that. I don't know how it is in Louisiana because I don't live there. I live in Texas, but what she's saying is very much the culture out there. And it is very like tribal, like according to where you're from, that's what you are, people identify you as that, my Pepaw was from Louisiana. He dropped out of school, I think in the 3rd or 4th grade to run moonshine. And that was the lifestyle back then. So he didn't finish his education. And it's still like that in some areas.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. It's very dated. It's a very, and I do see where that plays a huge part in the family dynamics on Dee Dee's side and Rod's side. You can see it, that dated mentality that's just not current with the times, and the upbringing of.
Well, Christy used the N-word with me.
Yeah, very dated, very not okay. So I
wasn't trying to be like offended. I've never heard someone say hi yellow here, so it's like if I were to say that up here, I'd probably get punched in the face by someone.
Right. And see, here it's socially acceptable in some areas, but that's what's so concerning to me, like kind of what we were talking about earlier in the reentry of Gypsy's rehabilitation and the reentry into society. Not only is she coming from a already unhealthy environment with her mom, but then she goes into prison, and instead of getting the rehabilitation she needed while she was there, she avoided it and just rode her time out with pen pals and such, and then got out, and now she's in an environment this is the environment she's in. She was launched and paroled into an environment that has these kind of dated beliefs, and it's just concerning to me that a whole baby is fixing to be born into that.
Well, they're racist as hell. Like, I don't know if you've paid attention to the kind of memes they make and like the way that they taunt people that are different than they are, but I was trying to explain this like the best way I could, but I don't know how other parishes are, and I don't know that this is how Lafourche is, but I just know that like it feels like that between the Petries, the Blanchards, and all these different families that are mixed together down in Lafourche, it feels like they're all messy, and criminals.
Right. So the way that I would explain it, the best way I would explain it, the lifestyles, and it's not just limited to them. It's you can find it, in this whole I-10 region. So another factor. Well, I'll talk on that later. But where was I going? I just lost my train of thought.
He works in prison reentry, just so you know.
Yes, I work in prison reentry. But I-10 corridor runs from Florida all the way across to California. So you have a lot of criminal activity across that on that corridor. So the cities that run alongside that are going to be a little bit rougher. But man, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought.
Looks really fucking poor.
Huh?
Cutoff looks poor.
Right. And it's going to be like more like shrimping, boating. You're going to find a lot more blue collar, oil field workers,
I was shocked at how small the houses are.
Right. Pier and beam, because they're on the water. So they're going to be more pier and beam and less costly to rebuild. So yeah, it's definitely a culture difference down here. I mean, like,
I looked when I was friends with them. I did like a Google whatever drive thing just to see what the street looked like, and I was like, Christy, these houses are so tiny. Like, this is weird. And the streets are so narrow. And is that because they're on the water, or
yes, yeah, because of flooding. So, because it's going to flood. You know, you don't want to build some nice big home there and risk it getting flooded. It's cheap pier and beam homes that are easy to rebuild.
Oh, I don't think that they don't have money. Like Rod makes good money. He's an oil camp. He's a captain on a rig.
Right.
But they also spend the money as fast as they make it, and they're heavy drinkers.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And I've heard there's this whole culture with guys that work out on the rigs and the
Yes.
wives, and like
Yes. Yeah, they're gone. They're offshore, 2-3 weeks, and then they're home.
Rod's gone for months.
Yeah. Some of them, just depending on what their position is. If he's in a supervisor position or whatnot, he might be gone for months. But yeah, it's a lot of chemical dependency, and you're also going to see a lot of more methamphetamine usage in this area as well because of the I-10 corridor. So the crime is going to be a lot higher. The crime rates are going to be a lot higher, and because of that, because we're off the I-10 corridor.
It's literally, Christy has 1 million cousins on that.
Yeah.
We have to use a different word. I need to think of a different word.
Is it FB or like social media or?
Yeah, ICE. I'll just call it ICE.
Oh, yes. Okay, gotcha. So,
yeah, she always talks about all these cousins that are on ICE.
yes,
And I
it's
think
very
she-
commonly.
And she uses it sometimes too.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Like if you get a lot of doctor shopping where they go and they get a prescription for it, and so you have a lot of the crime rate. So Louisiana is number 1 in the nation for STDs. Number 1, their medical. What's crazy is like their medical state Medicaid and stuff. Like it's crap, and so they don't have good oral care and you can look at them and tell just run down, like aged and run. They got bad teeth, and so yeah. And you're also going to see a lot of kind of like what they were talking about. That one girl was talking about the voodoo practices and the witchcraft and I know what I was going to tell you earlier. They're very tribal minded, and the closest comparison, like the way I could compare it, is like a pack of hyenas. Have you ever watched a pack of hyenas? Like they will turn on each other, but they'll run as a pack. Like that's the way they are. They'll turn on each other.
From what I've understood is the way that Christy does shit, I've understood is like Bayou. That's what people are saying to me is like, if she's pissed at you, she's going to dig up all your dirt, all your bones. She's going to completely fucking humiliate you.
Yeah.
In front of everyone. She's going to go like so,
but then whenever they need to family up, if it's a family member and they need to family up, they'll squash that and it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
And they'll family up. I'm telling you, they're like hyenas, and but they'll cut each other's throat. That's the way they are.
Like Christy will get into fights with people, like Natasha.
Yes, they'll throw hands. Yeah,
and they beat up each other.
Yeah. Yes. It's very like that. It's like that. It's the way of the life out here. And like right here where I live in Deep East Texas. So I'm right like 20 minutes the other side of the border of Lake Charles. Like I could get in my car and be.
Cajun says she calls it savage, not hyenas, but savage.
Well, I'm using that in comparison. Like, have you ever watched, like, literally, like, National Geographic and watched how hyenas operate? It's very comparable to that because they'll compete for the leadership and they'll fight for it, and then one will win, and then that's how they determine who the leader of the pack is, and they'll turn on each other. They'll fight each other, but
they like spread smear campaigns about each other and like make that person's life miserable. And then when everyone fucking like walks away from them, then they reunite with the people they fucked over.
Yes. And then they're a pack again.
Yeah.
And they'll turn like, they'll squash whatever beef they have with each other because now they have an enemy. The family has an enemy and they'll go after, and so I can see like all of that dynamic was a dynamic. And when you look at the history that you were sharing earlier of all of the affairs with Rod and the multiple women and having 2 children by 2 women at the same time, and Christy interfering, and all of that time that he owed all that back child support, Christy was fighting for him. She was defending him. She was protecting her man from paying that.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a cash cow. Gypsy's her cash cow. So she flipped script. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know that's what she did. She's flipping script, and she's doing this because I've also learned that they're very like protective of their family names.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's a huge thing down there. I've learned that from Christy, is like,
even if it's criminal, even if you've completely annihilated that name and you've got just a whole lineage of criminals, that we're the I'm just going to say Smith family. It's just because it's a general. We're the Smith family. It's this pride, pack pride kind of mentality.
yeah,
It's
and she
very
won't
dated.
let anyone talk shit about the family, but then all she'll do is talk shit about Dee Dee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But she's doing that because they fucked Dee Dee over.
Yeah, I really love that you're giving voice to the victim. See, so, I shared with you in the chat, I don't know if you caught it earlier or not, but my husband and I are both felons. And one of the things that is a key element to reentry and rehabilitation is making amends when you can in any kind of sobriety or any kind of recovery, whatever your issue is, making amends when you can and always putting the victim first and having that respect and that regard. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Carla Faye Tucker, but she had a heinous crime here in Texas, and she was put on death row and completely transformed her whole life. And she poured into so many lives on death row, from death row, and literally went to the gurney to be put to death, yes, for her sentence carried out, glorifying God and giving hope to people and having remorse for what she did. It was a complete turnaround in her, to like on a cellular level, in her whole being. And that right there is what advocacy is that you own what you did and you take it and you stand on it and you say, this is what I did and this is why it was wrong, and I can speak into it because I did it, and this is what happened, and this is where I was wrong, and this is what I've done to correct it, and this is
that will never be Gypsy.
Yeah, no, and Gypsy's not doing any of that. So there's a vast difference, a black and white difference between seeing someone on death row and their sentence carried out and at peace with that, knowing that their days are literally numbered, that they have to willfully walk to a bed and be strapped down and their sentence be carried out, and have peace with that. And then seeing someone that has been given the chance of freedom again, who abused that freedom and is still continuing to abuse it and abuse that privilege. Parole is a privilege, and not everybody gets that. And she's abusing it. She's using it to gaslight and abuse America. She's using it to continue to abuse her mother and continue to assassinate and victimize her mother over and over and over again. And it's truly disgusting. And I don't understand.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing with that is that how many cases of unaliving do we see where the victim is completely villainized?
Yes, right. Yeah.
And somebody has said, do the sisters ever speak out? If you go into, there's like old Facebook pages that started when all of this went out, they support Dee Dee, not the Blanchards, and they don't want anything to do with this. So, like, the reason Bobby's like the only Petrie is because she's like, Gypsy's fucking shunned.
Well, and I don't know this for a fact. This is my own assumption, and maybe it's an assumption and possibility, is that they might be truly intimidated by Rod and his people, there might be some kind of a tribal intimidation where the Petries are truly just want to live quiet and don't want any trouble. Like, don't kick that hornet's nest kind of mentality, because they know what Rod's people is capable of, or Christy's people. And so they're just like, stay away from it. Don't kick that hornet's nest. They don't have probably the money that Rod does and Christy.
No,
And-
the Petries had more money than Rod.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes.
And then the thing with the uncle, the tattoo artist, he's established himself as a tattoo artist. So I see him as kind of a neutral player in that, but it might just be
it's clout chasing for him. It's 100% clout
right.
chasing.
So it might just be that the Petries are like, don't kick that hornet's nest. Let it lie. That might be just their.
No, as far as I know, it's because of Dad. Because he's old and they don't want to.
The accusations.
They just don't want it to. They want him to like live out his life without the stress.
Right.
He's already lost his daughter. And even though they said that stuff on the show where he was talking about flush him down the toilet, that didn't happen. Claudia has her ashes. Dee Dee's got several sisters that won't fucking talk to Gypsy. There was a couple cousins that saw her very briefly, but they realized she was full of shit. And, you know, not everyone thinks like Bobby.
Yeah, and they might be very well waiting for the grandfather to pass before they speak out. But I hope that they do. I hope they find their voices in this, because I would love to see a truthful biography.
I saw a post from Claudia from years ago, and she just said, y'all need to stop making the woman that killed my sister famous.
Yeah. It's truly sad. She's just very Manson-minded. Like, she does not, and that's what's so mind-blowing to me is what did you do, 8 years on a 10?
8.5.
How in the world do you do 8 years on a 10-year sentence and still come out like not understanding the ramifications? Like, she truly is that far out there. Like, she really does not have a grasp on.
Well, Christy knows that what they're doing is wrong, because I talked to her and I said, you guys are fucking profiting off the death of her. This is disgusting. And that's really what my final straw was, because she told me they were going to do advocacy. That didn't work. They had all these goals that didn't pan out, right? This inspirational girl, but everyone learned that Gypsy's a narcissist that only cares about herself.
Right.
And hang on. And I said to her, I'm like, you are breaking the law, because they are hiding the money. They are using trusts to pay Gypsy. She got married, not for a house, because she needed to get paid for the show. And it was either going to go to Christine Rod or it was going to go to her husband. But Gypsy's name isn't on any of this shit.
Yeah.
And that's intentional.
To protect her legally.
Yeah. Well, and I said, Christy, you guys are fucking stupid. You know the Petries can fucking sue you, right? I said, any one of Dee Dee's heirs can sue your ass. She's like, they're too stupid.
Well, I would let her think that, because eventually it's going to come to a head. It's going to have, justice will have its way. I'm anxious to see what happens with this child and the custody of it, because I just don't see it ending well at all. That's like
Christy lies. She was on Natasha's channel and she's lied and said Gypsy will be a great mom. She told me in July she already knows that CPS will be involved.
Oh yeah, highly, highly involved. And then Dad allegedly has a criminal background.
He has like theft and drinking and drugs.
Right. Well, I was talking about Ken. So biological dad already has some history there and I don't know if he's employed or what's going on there.
That's what I'm talking about is him.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think he's got it's like drinking or.
Yeah. And so it's just like what you were saying earlier about the whole, like when she was with Ryan, and she had it all schemed out in her mind, but because Gypsy, I say Gypsy had it all schemed out in her mind and was already talking to Ken and then sent him the picture, and she had it all schemed out. Remember you were talking about that, and she messaged you, and then
She wanted to get him on adultery.
yes,
Him to get her on adultery.
she had it all schemed out, but what she didn't have was proper education on how civil family law works. And she ended up getting pregnant. And now look what has happened, because you can't get a divorce when you're pregnant and married. You have to biologically prove paternity before you can finalize, because because divorce and child custody go hand in hand. It's kind of like they match. They have to be partnered together in the court.
Oh, they're fine. It'll be final next in a couple.
Right. But she didn't realize all that when she was scheming all of this.
Well,
So
the delay has more to do with the law in Louisiana.
that's what I'm getting at, is that Gypsy didn't understand any of that
No, the
when
law
she
had to do with separation.
yeah. She didn't understand all that when she was scheming all of this, how the law in Louisiana works. It's like that in Texas too. And so that's my thing with this whole child being born, is they're going to be scheming and cutting throat and all this, tribal, tearing each other. And it is going to turn into a circus show in the family courts. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a bowl of spaghetti. It's going to be a mess. And I feel sorry for Ken. I feel sorry for him. It's going to be a mess.
Ken's an idiot.
It's going to be,
Any man
I'm
that
so
marries a
sad.
woman is an idiot.
She has no business procreating. None.
They should have taken out her uterus.
So I Googled custody there in Louisiana, because I'm not familiar with the Louisiana laws. I'm more familiar with Texas. And it does say that it is problematic with her charge, that it can result in termination of parental rights if she ends up, like if her and Ken separate or CPS steps in and they take the child, it can result in a termination of her rights. Her parental rights could be expunged.
Yeah,
completely.
I already looked into that, and I told that to Christy.
Yeah.
I was like, Christy, she can lose custody because of
Because she would have no rights.
in the family court system. One of the stipulations for custody is if the person has a violent crime against a family member.
Right. Yeah.
He's already committed matricide.
Yeah. And then the fact that, like,
Oh, thank you. I haven't gotten a lot of gifts. That's cute.
that is cute. The little wink.
Yeah. Thank you, Ghostly Mowgli.
But yeah, I'm very fearful for this poor child on its way in, and the challenges that are already set in front of it, the hurdles that this child's life already has set in place that it's coming into. It's just so sad.
I'm confident it's probably that baby probably has the chromosome deletion too.
Yeah, that in addition to that, it's just
They're being so cagey about things, and usually when they're cagey, it's because they're hiding shit.
right.
And everyone's worried about if she's pregnant, and I'm like, she's pregnant, but I think she has a small
She's
baby.
little. It doesn't look like it's growing, like it's properly.
Babies with this chromosome deletion are small.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. Like when I look at her tummy, it's like, I've had 3 pregnancies. I've had 3 children. So each one of my bellies looked different, with each baby. Each pregnancy was different. But you could definitely tell, like it was, especially my 3rd one, it was huge, But
I don't know. Ivory Rose grows. I don't know if she's still here, but she was saying that the Bayou talk was that Gypsy had an amniocentesis, and that's how she had learned that. Like they did that whole paternity test with the blood stuff. But Ivory had heard in the Bayou gossip from people that there was issues with they did the genetic testing of the baby, but I don't know if that's true. I just heard Ivory talking about it on her.
So I haven't done any research as far as, I mean, just very minimal research on the microdeletion. Will the baby, I hate to say this, like, is there potential that it might not thrive after delivery?
Well,
Or is it that serious, or how
in very severe cases, they can die, but that's very severe.
Gotcha.
Mostly it's behavioral, but because Gypsy's a carrier and she already has a huge deletion, so the microdeletion is on like a continuum, and there's 2 separate places where it can be. And the smaller deletion is like, doesn't affect as many things, but the deletion that she has includes TAR syndrome, which can mean that the child is born without limbs and a brain in severe cases. It can have a blood disorder, and it's fatal. So she has 1q121.1 deletion. So she's missing 25 genes.
Wow. So when the production and the reproduction of her baby, those genes aren't there to reproduce. Wow.
And her child has like a 50% chance of having it. And I don't see how it would just have a 50% chance. She's missing those genes. So how would she not have it?
I guess with the hope of the father's genes, maybe. I don't know how any of that works, but that is, why would you logically, knowingly, I mean, we are talking about Gypsy, so I don't know why I'm saying this in a question form, but anybody in the right mind that would have any kind of a disorder like that, think logically that they would want to reproduce and possibly pass that on to a child. You know, why would you risk that?
Well, like the deletion itself is like mostly behavioral, but most, like, they've done studies and it's pretty rare, but there's a rare disease place that did a study, and like every single baby had feeding challenges. Most of them needed a feeding tube. So Gypsy having a feeding tube isn't weird. It's weird that it took so long for her to have a feeding tube.
Yeah, I'm kind of switching gears here. I go back to the DA on this plea bargain. I understand the dynamic of the criminal justice system, and I understand why the plea bargain happened and that whole dynamic. It's really kind of like a game of chess, really. And
I can tell you from my experience, I have spoken to the DA where I live, and we had a really high profile case where the girl basically instigated it, but the guy was the one that took it through. And he's like, sometimes when you're a DA, you have to make tough decisions.
To get the prosecution, yes, to get it prosecuted. I get it. I'm saying all that to say this. I wish that there would have been a way to have kept her on paper longer, to have monitored her.
I wish she would have gotten 10 years and 20 years supervised or something.
Yes, yeah. Something where it was like a 20-year sentence.
Like Josh Duggar got 12 and a half years, and then when he comes out, he's got 20 years.
Because what it does is it helps them be monitored more closely out here. See, or even if they would have done like 2 years in prison and then done the other 8 out here and monitored her for this reason, because now she's out here and she's only on paper for 18 months. And then after that, there's nothing. So I really wish
she'll get arrested again.
Something will happen. It'll probably come in the fashion through the vein of this, having this baby, unfortunately, but
she has a very short temper.
Right. We saw that in the, I don't care.
That's not even the temper, like.
Right. But that was an insight, just a little glimpse into it, you know.
Somebody asked if they get into physical fights in their home. Yes.
Yes, I'm sure.
Christy told me the last conversation we had that she hit Gypsy when she was pregnant.
Wow.
She hit Gypsy for hiring a PR company and spending like $7,500 a month.
Impulse control. That's something that's very, is that a part of the microdeletion, is the lack of impulse control?
Antisocial personality is too. Like antisocial behaviors, there's a higher risk for schizophrenia, anxiety, mood disorders, mood swings. Some parents report that the kids are really violent and like defiant to
Defiant disorder.
not ODD, but like they just don't want to listen. Like they do whatever they want, and that's what Gypsy does. Like if you read what the behavioral issues are of this microdeletion, that's her. And what's sad about this, in all honesty, if the Blanchers were fucking smarter, they would have tried to do what Nick did and be like, she has a disorder. Right?
Right.
This is why she did this, not she's a victim.
Right. And this whole Munchausen stuff.
Yeah, but said, no, she actually has this disorder.
Right.
This is her mitigating factor instead of the abuse. But they went with the abuse because they hate Dee Dee.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I
they
think
wanted to
people
paint
would
that
be
narrative.
more sympathetic in a way if they were like, well, she's mentally ill. She can't help it.
And it's more of a moneymaker. It sells better with, Hulu and all that sells, the story. But Ken, if any of Ken's family is watching, like right now, like I'm hoping that they've already started this, but if there's any way that they can save up money and start preparing themselves for when this baby gets here, because seriously, like that baby's gonna, that's the environment that it's in. That baby is gonna be in that environment of, Rod, like, he's never there. He's like an ostrich. He reminds me of an ostrich, like ducks out. So he doesn't know what's going on in the house. Christy runs all that.
Drunk. When he's home, he's drunk. They're both drunk the whole time he's home. So disruptive mood dysregulation. That's what it might be. I don't know how CPS wouldn't be almost forced to have an automatic relationship with this child, knowing that she's a convicted murderer.
I bet you anything they show up on delivery day.
Hi, Fancy.
I'm sure that the doctors will probably already make that call. Like the doctors will probably make that call.
I hope.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed our talk and tonight and joining you. I thank you for letting me share on your platform, and I'm looking forward to continuing the discussion with you, Katie Joy.
All right, thanks, Phoebe.
Take care.
Night. Hi, Fancy.
Hey, so you know that CPS can be involved simply because of the fact that she is a schmurderer.
They can be, yes.
They can be absolutely involved. And to my understanding, Christy has said they already were, but I don't trust anything Christy says. But I mean, she's not lying about that.
So I don't know if you were here, but I was telling her that one of the last conversations I had with Christy was because I looked into the legalities of her because of, in July, shit wasn't going well with Ken, right? And everyone's worried about if Ken and Gypsy are going to break up. It's not if, it's when.
They've broken up before. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, like don't like get excited by that. Like, that every relationship in Gypsy's life blows up because she has a trigger. And if you piss it off, block, delete, you don't exist to me anymore.
Well, there's also going to come a point in time where Ken just decides he's done with the nonsense. I mean, he's constantly having to defend her. He's constantly having to play referee and trying. Now, there's the triangle that he's still having to deal with. It's just, there's so much. I mean, I think he came back for the money. I think he came back for the fame. I think he got roped into having a baby with her, and I think Lifetime really put that in her ear to do because they wanted that storyline.
Lifetime 100% put it in her brain.
Yeah.
Because they told her she would get another season.
And she did. Yeah. And she did.
Only had the baby for the show.
Yep. I agree. Well, she also has a sick obsession with wanting to have a baby. It's not about the fairy tale with her. It's always been about a baby and a guy that worships her. She doesn't have real relationships because she doesn't know how to have a good relationship.
She doesn't know how to be anything other than self-absorbed.
Well, she's a sociopath, so yeah. I mean, and that's why, it really hit me. I had not made the determination of it being a real sociopath, sociopathy or psychopathy, either one, being a sociopath or a psychopath. She could be either. But I didn't really think about it until Rachel told me that the entire time she was in prison, all she did was sit in her room and watch shows. Well, that's what a sociopath does to try to figure out what human interaction is. And it's also why her human interaction is so strange, because people don't talk in real life like they talk on a TV show. But she talks like they talk on a TV show because that's what she built her whole personality around.
She has I always tell people, like, I only talked to her twice on the phone. We communicated a lot via text, but I always tell people my impression of her was she's an empty vessel. Like, there's no personality inside there at all.
There isn't.
And
she's a chameleon. She's what
she just becomes whoever she talks to.
Yep.
And she mirrors what they say, and she mirrors the language that they use.
Yep.
But what she's consistently terrible at is she never asks questions about other people or cares about them.
No.
Everything, like, the minute she got out of prison, it turned into fucking a shitstorm at the Blanchard house. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I've told Christy it was going to, and she didn't listen to me. I mean,
I think they had these, like, weird thoughts that it was going to be somehow magical. Like, I don't know. They were going to save her,
Well, you didn't save her as a child, so what makes you think you have any abilities to save her now?
Oh my God. How am I getting flagged for harassment? I got to
loud.
I'll restart. Come back, though.
Yeah, I will.